Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to Karina Lanta Mentorship. And in this video, we're just going to do another Velocity Banking review on this beautiful, beautiful Friday. Just doing a quick refresher because I'm feeling a little bit lazy today because I don't know, it's because of the change of seasons, but man, I just want to sleep all day, which I will do right after this recording. So let's get to it. Velocity Banking Friday refresher. What is velocity banking? All it is a debt payoff strategy where you throw all your money to debt with the help of something called a line of credit. And if you take a look here and you ask the average American, what would be better? You have $1 of savings or you have $0 of savings. They would say the $1 of savings is better because we are trained by the financial system that once we paid off our debts, or our expenses, then it's okay to have some savings left over. Whereas when we're doing velocity banking, we're pretty much putting all of our money into debt. And we're going to do that with the help of something called the line of credit. And we're going to have this number called cash flow that's not immediately apparent in our checking or savings account, right? So if you take a look here and you take a look at my bank account, you see that most people, if they saw this, oh my goodness, you have $0 in your bank account, they would freak out. And what we're training ourselves to do is to feel comfortable not really saving money and using a line of credit to help us out with that. So let's go ahead and get started. So, it's really only two things that we need for velocity banking. Number one is a budget, which we've already done right here. And then we do an expense breakdown, list every single debt that we have right here. And then number two is we need something called a line of credit. Okay, so what is a line of credit? All it is a financial tool where you could borrow money, pay it back, and then use it over and over again. So, these are all the lines of credit that I have. A credit card qualifies as a line of credit because you can use it to pay anything and then pay it back. However, the credit card has some restrictions, right? You can't use it to pay one credit card to another, or it's really hard unless you do a balance transfer. And then another thing that you can't do with a credit card is you cannot use it to pay loans easily. Okay. I know there's plastic.com. I'm just saying, with the general nature of a credit card, really hard to pay loans. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and take a look at this credit line of credit right here. $280,000. This is my home equity line of credit, right here. And then this is my mortgage that I paid off in 2 years and 9 months. 2 years and 9 months. Yeah, I got to brag and do a little bit of flexing there. Okay, 2 years and 9 months. Hold on, let me put this back. Yes, I thought this was a I think this was a portrait of me when I first got access to this $280,000 home equity line of credit. So, if you don't know what you can do with this, you could just literally click a button on the bank's website and then boom, borrow up to $280,000 into your checking account. Boy, am I sleepy. All right, so let's go ahead and go back here. So let's assume we have access to $80,000 home equity line of credit. And you might be wondering, like, how do you get a home equity line of credit? Or heck, how do you get all these lines of credit? And right now I have over $594,000 in lines of credit. The secret is banks don't lend money to people who need it. And then once you understand this principle, you'll be able to get all the lines of credit that you could possibly need, right? Or probably much more than you possibly need, because that's why I have over $594,000 in lines of credit. And I always get the money when I don't need it. Right. And that's why, because banks are cautious, they're cautious institutions, they don't lend to anybody with a pulse unless you were alive in 2008. Okay. Bad joke. Anyways, all right. So banks don't lend money to people who need it. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. And let me just do this. So let's assume we have access to $80,000 line of credit. And guess what happens? Okay, we're still not going to save money, but let's move some of our debt. We're going to start off with the credit cards first. 5, 15, 27, 30. Let's go ahead and sum it up. And then this is going to be 77,000, 77,000, right? And what are we going to do here? Well, once we just do a debt balance transfer, this is going to go. This is where I usually think this is the most clickbait moment of velocity banking, which is 0,000. And look at this. How do we go from $1 of savings to $0 of savings, but this number called cash flow goes to $2,568.50, right? $2,568.50 without making more money. See how the income is the same, right? See how we still have the same debt, but the debt's just been transferred? Okay, so you see that? But we literally went from $1 to $2,568.50. And I think this is so amazing, right? I think this is incredibly amazing. And I think if you showed most of your friends this, they'd be like, what the F, right? I'm pretty sure if you're watching this for the first time, you're having that what the F moment. Okay. I know I did when I first saw it. All right. So now we got to talk about the final step, which is you put your entire paycheck, this entire $6,334 into the line of credit, and then you take your expenses out and then you rinse and repeat over and over again, right? So after every single month, the balance is going to go down about $2,568.50. And then that's all you do, and just rinse and repeat. So see how easy this is? So let's go ahead and do the math. And then I'm going to go ahead and do this, which is 2568.5. So to get the next month's balance, it's the previous month's balance, interest, and then you subtract the cash flow, right? And then what you do is, because the line of credit charges you interest every single month based on the average daily balance, you could take the average, multiply it by the interest rate, and then divide by 12, okay? And so I'm going to copy and paste, and then we'll see how easy it is to get rid of all the debt. So, woo, all right. So 34 months, it is all paid off. 34 months. And then we'll just do this right here, 34 months. And then this is going to be 77K. And then, all right. And so now this is paid off. So it's 34, 34, 34. So this is our loan calculator. Help us figure out what's the current balance of the loans and which ones we pay off. So we talk about this a lot, about the cash flow index. All it is a simple formula of the balance divided by the payment, and then it just gives you an arbitrary number. And the lower the number, that's the payment or the balance you want to move into the line of credit. So we're going to move this into the line of credit. So $9,616.67. So let's go ahead and do this right here. And then I am just going to go do this plus 9616.67. All right. And then this is going to go to 0, this auto loan. And now our cash flow is almost $3,000. So let's go ahead and do that right here. 3,000 or 2955.25. And then we see that in 37 months, it is completely paid off, right? So 37 months. And then this is going to be 90, I think it's 98K. So 77 plus 21 is 98K. And then now let's do with the student loan. So this is going to be 30, and then it's going to be not 30, 0, and then it's going to be 37, 37. And then I'm going to move this into the line of credit. And I'm going to do this plus 2978.13. And then, okay, this is going to go to 0, the student loan. So you get an extra $400. And then look at that. The cash flow is over $3,000. All right, so let's go ahead and do this right here. And then we're right here. And then this is going to be 3379.51. And all right, so 46 months, the student loan is paid off, right? And let's just do this right here. So 46 months. $138K. And then right here, the $200,000 mortgage. So let's go ahead in 46 months, figure out what the balance of the loan is. And then right here, 46, this is 0. And now our current balance of the mortgage is $185,000. So one thing to make sure that we take into account is that with the 30-year mortgage, it's a huge balance. and the monthly payment is very, very little. And because this is more about cash flow recovery, one of the reasons why we don't move the entire loan into a line of credit is because by moving the entire loan into a line of credit, you get this itty bitty cash flow, itty bitty $954, itty bitty cash flow. And so one way that we can still pay it off, even with the 8 or 9% line of credit, is by using what we call the chunking method, which is doing a small chunk. And so let me just kind of open up the Velocity Banking Calculator. And there we go. We have the Velocity Banking Calculator. So we just put in all the numbers here. And so here we have a $7,000 chunk, meaning we've moved $7,000 of this to the line to the line of credit. And then we just rinse and repeat over and over again. But let's see what happens when we move the whole thing into a line of credit. We have to pretty much pay double. So we don't want to do that, right? So that's why we do this $7,000 chunk. And then we see it's paid off in 3.9 years. And yeah, we're good to go. So that's your Friday refresher right here, pretty quick for today, right? So this is going to be 46 divided by 12 plus 3 point, what is it? 3.9. Okay, 3.9. And then we are debt free in 7.73 years, debt free. Amazing. All right. And yeah, now I got to go to sleep. I am so sleepy. I am so sleepy. I don't know what it is. Today's Friday. Maybe it's the change of seasons. But you know what? Let's thought I'd crank out another Velocity Banking video, Friday refresher. So have a great Friday, and I'll see you all on the next video.